Hello and welcome to another episode of Driveway Dudes. Today is a very exciting day because today I'm going to show you my new, to me, car. So that's right, it's a 2015 Lexus Nx 300h. This particular one is the premium spec with the triple LED headlights and finished in Sonic titanium. You'll have to forgive the morning dew and the shoddy work I've done hiding the number plates and the sticker on the back. Under the bonnet we have a 2.5 litre Lexus hybrid drive 4-cylinder petrol or gasoline engine hooked up to the hybrid electric motor here to create obviously the hybrid system, and there is an additional electric motor at the rear wheels to create a all-wheel drive system. This particular setup completely combined produces 197 brake horsepower. So let's check out the boot or the trunk. On this one you can open it electronically either by holding the button up here. There's a button inside the car, or in this case there's also a button on your key. It's not the most cavernous boot in the world at 475 litres, but of course you can remove this partial shelf, fold it up, put it underneath the floor, which gives you van-like space. There's also a 12-volt socket in here as well, and a few tie-down areas. Underneath the boot floor you have storage, so that's really handy. And underneath the storage area is a space saver wheel, which you don't actually get very often nowadays, which is very handy. If you need to carry longer loads, you can fold down the rear seats in a 60-40 fashion, as I'll show you now. And hopefully you can still see me here. It's a relatively flat loading area now. Once you climb aboard and get into the back of the car, you'll find that you have loads of room back here. I'm 5'11", I have loads of headroom. I have loads of leg room, even though this seat is in the rearmost position. You have lovely wooden inlays on the doors. You have center air vents down here. You can recline the rear seat to get comfortable. You have a center armrest with a nice opening and closing action. And if you do have to carry center passengers, you'll find that the tunnel in the center is almost completely flat because there is no prop shaft going to the rear wheels. It's an electronic differential on the back, or final drive unit. That means there is a lead going from the front to the back. So once you climb aboard, you'll find that you have an extremely comfortable driver's seat. This particular leather interior is the white ochre leather interior, which I think finishes quite nicely. It's two-tone, so where the areas where it's going to get a lot of use are in black, and the floor mats are also in black too. Up here you'll find that you have an electronic seat with lumbar support. You have an electronic steering wheel, which I'll need to turn on first. As you can see, it has the memory seats here. See that go all the way out, down, up, and back in again. So it's extremely easy to get comfortable up here. You have two cup holders, a center armrest with storage underneath. This is where your wireless phone charger is. In the center here you have your dual zone climate control and a couple of the multifunction buttons. You have heated and cooled seats, which I have to say are very nice on a warm summer's day. So I definitely recommend you try a car with cooled seats. Multifunction steering wheel here. You have the Bluetooth phone connectivity. It does not have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. It does have something called Mirror Link, which I haven't been able to get to work yet. You have a proximity sensor here, so it's like radar cruise control. it decides the distance between you and the car in front that you're following while you have the cruise control turned on. Down on the right here, where you probably can't see, not only do you have the memory functions for the driver's seat, but you also have a proximity sensor for the crash safety system, where you can decide how close or far away you don't want to crash into the car in front of you. Pretty decent glove box. You have okay storage in the door bins. You have an auto dipping rear view mirror here, and oh yes, I can't forget, you have this center console piece here, which is a vanity mirror. I have no idea why this is here. You have a little teeny storage area down here once you've removed this. I tried putting sunglasses in there, or sunglass box I should say, and it doesn't fit. Do feel free to leave in the comments why you think it's there. Okay, so I've removed the paper off the number plates and the sticker in the back. I've got my seatbelt on, so I think it's time for a drive. And you don't really mind driving slowly. You don't mind braking so much in this car, because every time you brake or you coast, you charge up the batteries, and that's free electricity. Normally, electricity would be well, not electricity, but the energy from braking would be completely wasted in a normal car. But in this, it's able to recoup a lot of that energy. I heard online before that hybrids, now not this one specifically, but hybrids in general, can recover up to 75% of the lost energy from braking and coasting. I like the little spaceship noises it makes when it's turned off the petrol engine and it's just using the electric motors, or you're just coasting or you're braking and the petrol engine turns off. This model doesn't have the kind of ambient noise from the outside to let pedestrians know that you're moving. It just runs eerily silent. When you're running full electric like I am right now, the range varies depending on ambient conditions outside, the temperature and so on, tire pressure is a whole lot. But I've gotten about 1.5 kilometers or about a mile on full electric only if you're very, 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 very careful and don't really want any torque whatsoever. The hill now coming into my village, and I can just let off the accelerator, and because it's a CVT gearbox and there's no conventional gears as you'd expect in a normal gearbox, there's very, very little engine braking, and what it allows it to do is just keep regenerating the batteries as I'm rolling downhill. It's all free electricity as far as I'm concerned. I don't have to plug it in, and I can then use that electricity as an assist to get back up to speed with the petrol engine, or if I want to drive full electric. Now in this case, if you want to use an engine braking because you're worried about overheating your brakes for whatever reason, you can pop it into sport mode on the gearbox and use the gearbox to shift up and down, and it gives you on the dials here a 1 through 6. However, there's no actual normal gears in a CVT, so you're just putting a lot of strain on the gearbox for very little reason. But I suppose if you're coasting downhill for a long time on the brakes and the brakes are starting to fade, which I've never had in this car, but if they are, ideally use that. But just going through this village I live in on a Sunday morning, everything is so quiet, nobody can hear me, and it's just a really enjoyable, nice car to drive. It's a home really, just doing the stop-start traffic, where it's just using electric while it's available. My fuel economy at the moment is showing 6.5 litres per 100 kilometers, and I can't really work that out into imperial miles per gallon at the moment. But what I will say is, I've had this car for nearly a year. I wanted to drive it for about a year before I did a review and told you what I thought. I've done about just a little under 6,000 kilometers in that year. I've averaged 7.7 litres per 100 kilometers, which equates to about 36.7 imperial miles per gallon. It's not phenomenal, you know, even by diesel standards it's not great, but by the equivalent petrol SUV, it's pretty good. To be fair to it, I do about 2/3 of my driving is on the motorway, when it really just becomes a 2.5 petrol engine, and actually very little around towns or villages. We're just waiting at the lights here to turn onto the motorway. But what I will say, this is another party piece of having a hybrid car, is because, oh, the engine's just turned off, is we're not idling. We're not using any petrol whatsoever. Put the cruise control on, set at 120. You can adjust the distance between you and the car in front, like I said earlier, which is very, very nice. It makes for a very relaxing drive. This road it's quite rough, so it's not really kind of stopping the review, you can probably hear a lot of road noise, but normally the car dampens the road noise quite well. So it's picked up the car in front of me. You probably can't see it, but it's I have it set at maximum distance, so I'm going to let the car drive up to behind that car and completely allow itself to, yeah, you can feel the car slowing down now. It's allowing itself to keep a perfect distance between me and the car in front, which is very, very safe, very, very relaxing on the motorway when you're doing as many motorway miles or, you know, kilometers on the motorway as I do. Okay, so the car in front has now pulled away. There's no car in front of me, and this Lexus is now increasing its speed back to 120 kilometers an hour, and it will perfectly maintain that because that is what I set it to on the cruise control system. This just does its own thing. You don't need to have a plug-in spot. You don't need to have, you know, off-street parking. You can just get in and drive as long as you have some petrol, and it just does its own thing. That's the best thing. Just let it do its own thing. It's very, very relaxing. Again, now we're just sitting in traffic, not using any petrol whatsoever. We've nearly charged up the batteries completely. I hope people behind me don't hate me for driving so slowly. But we're just going from one set of lights to another set of lights that are red. So again, didn't cost us a thing. I love having an automatic gearbox. This is one of the things that you know, made me want to buy a Lexus hybrid. It was coming time to change the Citroen, if everybody remembers the Citroen C4 from the other videos, and I wanted a luxurious car. You know, I wanted to treat myself. I'm at the sort of age now where I can take risks and maybe buy a slightly more expensive car and have time to recover financially from it. And a few things I wanted in my next car. I wanted a car with leather interior. Never had a car with leather interior before. I wanted one with leather. The Alpha doesn't really count if you see it from the previous video because I put leather into that, but only after I stopped driving it because it was going to become a restoration project, which I never got around to. I wanted an automatic gearbox. I'm just sick of changing gear. You know, I was never the most smooth at changing gear anyway, but I was just sick of it. Sick of constantly changing gear up and down. Somebody gets out in front of you, change down gear, change up gear, always and forever changing gear. And before I started working from home, I used to actually have to drive a lot, just stop starting, and I hated it. And I wanted a petrol because petrol cars are now more favourable than the diesel cars. The Citroen was great, very economical, much more economical than this, and I loved it, but I had it for so long. I've had it since about 2014, and this is 2022. I bought this car last year, so 2021, so I would have had it about 6.5, 7 years before I traded it in for this. I just love how it just wafts you along. It's so comfortable. After a long day's work or a long day doing anything, you get into an extremely comfortable car, set the air conditioning just so. You want your heated seats, you want your cool seats, absolutely. And just let the car waft you from one place to another. And the main reason why I chose a Lexus, and probably one of the most reasons anybody chooses a Lexus, is reliability. I've had this car for a year and nothing has gone wrong with it. Now I know I haven't driven it obviously as much as other people might, but nothing, not so one thing whatsoever. Nothing has given me a moment's problem. And I looked them up online. The Lexus Nx is particularly reliable, and I love it. It's so comfortable, reliable, quiet, reasonably economical depending on what kind of driving you do. And it's a step in the right direction. It's a step towards a full electric car. As of this video, they did release the NX 450h plug-in in the next generation, and they also just announced the Lexus RZ 450e, the full electric Lexus, which I will be keeping an eye out in the future if I choose to stay with the brand. which I probably will. You know, I once heard that a lot of Lexus drivers, once they become a Lexus owner, they never change. They just go back into the deal. Oh, there's a really slow moving car ahead of us here, which I did see, which is as I was talking to you. Lexus picked it up, dipped the speed from 80 kilometers an hour to 65, and now it's just slowly increasing itself back up to 80 as the driver in front of us has increased their speed. Now they're actually pulling away from me, but because I've set it 80, it's not going to go any faster than that. Speaking of how fast this can go, not that you should ever do it on the open road, but it'll deal with 0 to 62 miles per hour, or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour, as it is over here, in 9.3 seconds, and it'll do 112 mile an hour or 180 kilometers an hour. Not that you ever would. The speed limit over here is 120 kilometers an hour, so you'll never ever need it. But nice to know it can do it. So, home again. We're pulling back into my estate. And there we have it. So I've driven about 13 kilometers, and I've been driving for about 45 minutes. So I'll edit this down, of course. I've averaged 6.3 litres per 100 kilometers for a 2.5 petrol. That's just unbelievably good. It's very, very, very good. I suppose the summary is, I found the car I wanted. It took me a few months, and I never would have expected to buy a Lexus, but I found my automatic, petrol, hybrid is a bonus. Wasn't originally looking for a hybrid, but I found a hybrid SUV. I like the SUVs, I like Jeeps, I like Range Rovers, and I like estate cars, so this kind of combines a Jeep and an estate car, which is a high riding kind of estate car, and I love it. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed seeing my new car. I'm going to release new videos on the car to the channel. So if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a like, a share, and subscribe to Driveway Dudes, and you can find us on the usual social media platforms too. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.